Hello everybody, my name is Lemon and I also go by Lemon. I am your coach of the Sacramento Surge, and today we have got the draft analysis for Season 5, I think, of the UBDL, the Ultra Beast Draft League. We did participate in the last season, and we were a contender for playoffs. We did make it to playoffs. I'm not going to spoil the match. I'm not going to say anything about it or what happened in it, because I really want you guys to go check it out, and I think it was awesome. At the time of recording this, I haven't uploaded it yet, but I'm going to right after I record this. So you guys will be able to see that before this is up. But guys, we are here ready to record for the next season of this amazing VGC draft league that I had so much fun with last season. There were a couple of changes in the draft process. Last season it was a tier-based draft. This time it's actually a points-based draft, much like the SPS does. So very familiar draft style for me. And with that being said, I think we should just go. Actually, you know what? That's not true. There's a couple more things. Some Pokemon like Groudon, Zacian, and Zamazenta were banned. There were just a couple of bans. Most Megas are allowed, though. There was an error that Mega Pidgeot was banned, so there's no Mega Pidgeot. But yeah, other than that and the Mewtwo's, I think every Mega is allowed. But guys, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and start the draft analysis because I love this team so much. With that being said, let's go into it. This team, we have to have a team consisting of 11 Pokemon. We have to have 11. Consisting of varying Pokemon. Some of them are Ubers, some of them are Megas, and then the rest are just going to be supporting Pokemon. A lot of restricted Pokemon. You're only allowed to have one restricted Pokemon, though. So if I have like a Pheromosa, I can only have that one I can only have Pheromosa. I can't have like Pheromosa plus Ash Greninja, basically. So yes, we have 120 points to spend on these 11 Pokemon, and with that being said, I had the first overall pick, which means I had to grab something incredibly strong. I had to. I can't have first pick and not grab something amazingly strong. So naturally, I grabbed the one thing that I thought shouldn't have been allowed at all. Sprocket the Magearna. Oh my gosh. I don't know why this thing was allowed. Magearna cost us a solid 20 points, pretty hefty, but like I've said in the SPS, top heavy is pretty meta anyway. So top heavy team. Magearna is amazing though. Steel and Fairy typing is great offensively. Only being weak to ground and fire is also really good. It really limits my opponent's options for taking this thing down. Basically, it's pretty tanky. Base 80 HP and 115 in both defenses means that it can take hits pretty dang well. Really good special attack stat at 130. Pretty okay speed stat, but that's okay because it usually is going to be utilizing Trick Room. And that Soul Heart ability is so good. It's so good because what it does is every time any Pokemon on the field faints, this Pokemon gets a +1 special attack boost. That includes my ally Pokemon. So I could use something like Explosion next to this Magearna, and Magearna will get a +1 special attack boost, whether or not that Explosion got a kill, which is awesome. It's got pretty good coverage. It's got Dazzling Gleam. It's got its signature move Floor Cannon, which is a Fairy type Draco Meteor. It's got Flash Cannon. I think it has Thunderbolt. I think I saw somewhere it had Energy Ball. I don't know. This is kind of off the top of my head. But yes, great coverage. It's got a couple of setup options in like Autotomize, Agility. It can run Weakness Policy pretty effectively. Something that's a really strong pairing is Weakness Policy Agility next to like an Earthquake user. Let me just pull up some of the other options. It's a Trick Room setter itself, which is really good. It has access. Yeah, it does have Energy Ball. It's got Focus Blast. It's got Ice Beam even. And I think that's about it. It does have stored power, so if we really want to run that. So yeah, this thing is great though. I think it's really good. Really good offensive typing. There's a lot of ways we can utilize that Soul Heart ability with our ally Pokemon alone, which is great. I really like this team. I really like this Pokemon in particular. So yeah, I feel really good about this first pick. I think it has a lot of potential. It being a Trick Room setter by itself means that my opponent has to prep for it, specifically as a Trick Room setter, which is really good. Excuse me, my sinuses are a little bit weird right now. So yeah, it took forever to get back to me, naturally having first pick, but whenever it did, I really wanted to grab a good ghost type, because last season I did have a good ghost type in Dragapult, but it wasn't a very bulky or offensive one. It was really only there to surf, and then be annoying with ally switch. That was all it was there for, and that's just not my playstyle. I didn't enjoy Dragapult. I enjoyed Colossal and Dragapult, if that makes sense. So I wanted to do this is kind of the same basic idea, but I wanted to do something that I know is a pretty good ghost type all around. Something that has a lot of options, maybe compare with Magearna pretty well, and that thing was Sauron the Dusclops. So Dusclops costing us 15 points is a pretty good defensive ghost type. Very low HP stat, but very, very, very good defense and special defense stats at 130. Um, Slapping an Eviolite on this thing, giving it a 1.5 boost in both its defenses, means that it's an absolute tank. Like, for reference, I think it can take a Dark Pulse from a Specs Yveltal, which is very impressive. Pure Ghost type, nothing crazy going on there. It does have access to Bulldoze, so we can pair it next to Magearna. Activate its weakness policy. It's a secondary Trickroom setter. It's got Frisk, so I can reveal my opponent's items, which is very good information. It's got some like Will-O-Wisp and Bulldoze. Nightshade is a good attack, so it can hit pretty hard. Well, not even pretty hard, but it can hit everything except for normal types, no matter what. It can it can ally switch, but I don't really want to use ally switch this season just because it felt kind of scummy. So we are not really going to be utilizing that. I know it's got some other things. It's got Destiny Bond. It's got Helping Hand in Prison. Um, yeah, that's about it. It's pretty good though. I like this thing a lot. Very good defensive Pokemon next to our very offensive Pokemon. Feels really good. And I like this thing a lot. Moving on to the third Pokemon, I wanted something that could be pretty versatile. I did have a little bit of a plan from here on, but I really wanted to grab something very versatile. And when you have a Magearna in VGC, you really want to grab a defensive water. And defensive waters are kind of hard to come by in this league. They're ranked very highly. So I wanted to grab one that gave me a lot of utility or sometimes some offense. And that thing is our good old Bunker Blast. I only put Bunker. Bunker Blast, the Blastoise. Last season we had Mega Blastoise, and it did pretty okay. It wasn't great, but it did okay. This thing cost us, I think, 17 points. I like this thing a lot. This is one of my favorite defensive. This is one of my favorite water types of all time. I love Blastoise. Blastoise has access to Fake Out, Follow Me, Helping Hand, Protect, Muddy Water. It's got Shell Smash with Water Spout and like Aura Sphere. It's got coverage. It's got offensive options. It's got defensive options. It's got annoying options. It's great. I love it a lot. Let me pull up what else it can do. It could have Haze. It could have Yawn. Yawn is really good too. I don't know if I mentioned, but there's no Dynamaxing in this league. So Magearna unfortunately can't Dynamax. And Yawn isn't quite as helpful in that anymore because there is no Dynamax to shut down with it. But Yawn is still very, very useful because it really forces your opponent to either switch or stay in and basically lose value in a Pokemon, which is really valuable. So I like this thing a lot. It has full opportunity to be very defensive. Its stats are pretty good, base 79 HP and 100 defense and 105 special defense is pretty good for defense. And then its offense is good enough. It's good enough. I don't think we have any other redirectors, but it does have options otherwise, like outside of redirection. So yeah, moving on to the fourth pick, of course, now it's going to take a while for it to come back around to me, but this was a big part of my plan. I wanted something with a really, really high attack stat. And the options for that are kind of limited because some of the highest attacking stats out there, some of the Pokemon with the highest attacking stats out there are actually restricted Pokemon. But I came across this thing and I like it a lot. It is Gigazor the Mega Garchomp. Mega Garchomp is really cool. I like this thing a lot. First of all, it's a Garchomp outside of before it Mega Evolves, it's just a regular Garchomp, which is good in itself. But then after it Mega Evolves, it has base 170 attack, which is incredible. Really good defenses too. 108 HP, 115 defense, and 95 special defense is really solid. Does have that 4 times weakness to ice though, and that is very problematic sometimes. Um, what else can this thing do though? 120 base special attack is really good though too, because that actually means that it can hit pretty hard with fire blasts, earth powers, um, Draco meteors even. I like this thing a lot. That Sand Force ability is very, very underrated, if you ask me. Sand Force, if you don't know what it does, is it gives a Life Orb boost to the 30% boost in power to steel, ground, and rock moves while in sand. This thing costs me 15 points, and I love this pick because, spoiler alert, we're gonna get a sand setter, and these two sand Pokemon together are really good. I really like having some kind of weather control in this league. Last season, the only kind of weather control I had was Liepard, and that was really mediocre. I felt like I was going to have a really hard time with weather, and this time there's a lot more weather out there. So I really wanted to get the best out of it, and I think that this was one of my better options. Physically, offensive wise, it does have Dragon Claw, Iron Head. Um, it's got Scale Shot now, so we can boost its speed. It's got Stomping Tantrum, or it has Earthquake if we want to spam that next to our Flying type. It's got just so many moves. It's got so many options. It's great. I like this thing a lot, but now I wanted to grab something that could be used next to Garchomp or Magearna. And that thing, or actually just pretty much anything actually, was a very, very good support Pokemon costing us 12 points, Rosalie the Rabombi. I love Rosalie. I love Rabombi on this team. Rabombi has so many options. It's got Pollen Puff is a bug type move that is both an attack and a healing move. If you target an enemy Pokemon, it's going to attack them with I think it's a base 90 power bug move, which is pretty good for a Pokemon that has Bug Stab. Let me check that. Yeah, it's base 90 power, which is pretty good for Bug Stab. But if it targets your ally, it heals them 50% of their max HP, which is also really good. Really good speed here at 124. Outspeeds a lot of Pokemon, not all of them, but a lot of them. There's a lot of really cool tech that this thing can do. It's got Helping Hand, it's got Tailwind, it's got Speed Swap. Um, it's got Charm, Fake Tears, I think. Yeah, it's got Fake Tears. It's got Screens, Stun Spore, Trick. Yeah, but the main thing out there that I really wanted was Speed Swap. Just imagine Magearna with base 124 speed. Ooh, is a threat. Just the option of a steamrolling Magearna next to this thing could be really, really strong. And actually, there is one other move that this thing has, and that is After You. After You is an interesting move that makes the target Pokemon move immediately after this one uses it. So if I pair this thing next to Dusclops, I can go for After You into my Dusclops and go for Trick Room immediately. And that means that Dusclops is not going to get affected by any type of taunt or imprisoned stuff out there that my opponent might want to try and use to keep it from working. On top of that, I can use After You next to Blastoise to make it go for Water Spout first turn for free, which is awesome. I could go for Speed Swapper After You into Magearna or into Garchomp to get a massive offensive lead. There's a lot of options right out there for this thing. I like it a lot. I think it was a really cool pick. I'm really happy with this pick. I don't mind having a secondary fairy either. I don't mind it at all. Moving on to the next Pokemon. Remember after the first pick, we're kind of picking in pairs because we do have the first pick, so we have the wheel. So this is starting our next pair. I wanted to secure my Sand Setter, and it was actually originally going to be Hippowdon, but then I decided to go against it and go with... you didn't see that. And go with Everest the Gigalith. Gigalith here cost me, I think it was another 12 points. I'll have to check that. But yeah, I really like Gigalith. It's a Sand Setter for Garchomp. But the main reason I decided to go with Gigalith and not Hippowdon is because Gigalith has access to Wide Guard, and that is really helpful because Wide Guard is a really cool utility move that or support, defensive, utility, whatever move that makes itself and ally Pokemon immune to spread moves for that turn, and it can be spammed. So it was pretty cool. So that means I can actually pair it next to Garchomp and go for Earthquake for free, which is awesome. On top of that, if my opponent brings any like Icy Wind stuff for Garchomp, 4 times super effective, and it'll slow it down, I could make Garchomp immune to it. Or if my opponent brings Blizzard with like a Lonely Ninetales and they get rid of my Sand, I could still be immune to it. It's great. I love it. Um, yes, it did cost me 12 points. I just checked it. Really good attacking stat at 135. My team is very mixed offensive right now. Um, excuse me. This thing has options in both physical defense and special defense. Really good, really good defensive stats. I love its defensive stats a lot. Base 85 HP, 130 defense, and 80 special defense. But something you got to remember is that rock types have a 50% boost in special defense while in sand. So this thing basically has a built-in assault vest, and that's awesome. Or I could just run a Soul Vest too. That's pretty cool too. This thing has pretty decent options offensively. It's got Rock Slide, it's got Explosion. I can pair it next to Magearna, go for Explosion. Magearna will resist. It'll get a guaranteed +1 because Gigalith died. And then if Gigalith picks up any kills, then that's another +1 special attack. It's got an option there. I can run Assault Vest. It's got Body Press for if I want to run a good physically defensive set. I can run Body Press, hit something really hard. It's got Throat Chop for any like really hard to deal with Ghost types or something, or Psychic types maybe. It's got what else? I know it had something else. It has Rock Blast if I want to like try and break multi-scale. I don't know what else I really like need for this thing. I've seen it has superpower too. I've seen somebody run Iron Defense Body Press once, and that could be pretty good in certain matchups. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's another Trick Room Pokemon, base 25 speed. Pretty interesting. I like it a lot. It is mainly here to give Garchomp his 30% Sand boost, and I've already spoiled it. But the next pick was Aviate the Staraptor. Staraptor is another physically offensive Pokemon, so my team is getting much more physically offensive. But Staraptor cost me 11 points, and I felt like this was really worth it. Because what it let me do is it gave me an intimidating Pokemon, which is really good. It gave me a normal type, which is also really good. And it gave me a flying type. So it gives me a ground immunity, which I needed. It gives me a ghost immunity, another thing I needed. It gives me base 100 speed tier, which I desperately needed. My speed tiers are very much slow right now. Gives me a really good physical attacker just right out of the get-go. My opponent really has to think about both Intimidate and Reckless because of the fact that this thing has Double Edge and Brave Bird, both of which getting boosted by Reckless. My opponent kind of has to think about those. The main reason I wanted this thing, though, is because it learns Final Gambit. If you know what that move does, you know what I'm thinking. I can pair this thing next to Magearna, and depending on my opponent's HP stat, or the target's HP stat, I could kill it at the sacrifice of this Pokemon, which means that Magearna would get a +2, which is so good. I love it so much. So yeah, I love this Pokemon. It's another Pokemon I can spam. It's a Pokemon I can spam Earthquake next to from Garchomp. It's got Tailwind. It has Close Combat for offense. Brave Bird. Let me see what else does it have. It has Feather Dance actually, which is pretty cool. Feather Dance lowers my opponent's attacking stat by 2 stages. Pretty good. It's also got Detect, which is like Protect, except you can actually spam it. But the more you spam it, the less likely it is to hit, or the less likely it is to work. So it is pretty cool. It's definitely got the options. I like it a lot for sure. This was a really good pick to me. I like it. And then it took a while for her to get back to me again. And for my next pick, I wanted a good dark type. But the thing I was worried about most was the fact that there are a couple of ghost and psychic types out there that also get fighting and fairy coverage. And the combination of all of that, psychic, fighting, and fairy coverage, kind of ruins me. Like, I don't have great options to that. Like certain ones Magearna can't handle very well. There's a few of them that Magearna has a bit of a hard time dealing with. So I wanted something that would be neutral to all of those hits, and that thing was Venom the Drapion. Drapion is, in my opinion, kind of an underrated dark type. I like this thing a lot. It cost me, I think, 8 points. Yeah, 8 points. Poison dark type is really cool because that means that it's only weak to ground. It's got Snarl, which is really good, so I can lower. Excuse me. I can lower my opponent's special attacking stat by 1 stage, and it is a multi-hit move as well, or a multi-target hit move. Pretty good defense stat at 110. Nothing else is super great about it. Sniper is a really cool ability though, and I can run Razor Claw to boost my critical hit ratio. I can run Cross Poison Night Slash with the Razor Claw ability, and Sniper will give increased damage to critical hits. So I could just do everything I can to increase my critical hit ratio, and then maybe get some critical hits with Night Slash and Cross Poison, which could be really good. It has Taunt, it's got Knockoff. I don't think there was really anything else about it. I did want it mainly because it is a dark type that like isn't weak to psychic, that isn't weak to fairy and fighting coverage. Because like one of the things I was really scared about that didn't end up actually getting drafted was Indeedee plus Mega Alakazam. Because in one VGC draft speed tour I did, it destroyed. It was really good. Yeah, so now we're down to 10 points for our last 3 Pokemon, so needless to say, it's going to be a very top-heavy draft. But yeah, I like this thing a lot. It gives us a base 97, base 95 speed tier. Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to say about this. Now, for my next pick, I got sniped. This was the only snipe of the entire draft for me, but it was a very sad one. I really wanted Electros, but somebody else grabbed it. So I decided to grab my grass type sooner than I had planned, but I'm pretty okay to have this thing. It is Lucio the Thwackey. Thwackey is a pretty okay low tier grass type. Having access to, sorry, I'm pulling it up right now. It's got Fake Out, Grassy Glide with Grassy Terrain is pretty cool. I think it has Taunt. Yes, it does. It has Taunt, and it's got Leech Seed. Leech Seed is never going to come. I don't know why I said that. But yeah, it's got Taunt. It's got Grassy Glide. Grassy Terrain gives me, or Grassy Surge gives me a little bit of terrain control, which is nice. Like I mentioned earlier, Garchomp has Stomping Tantrum, so I don't really have to worry all that much about not having Earthquake spam, or like having Earthquake reduced. I can't really think of much else that this thing does. It's got Knockoff, U-Turn, Grassy Glide. It can hit kind of hard. It does hit kind of hard. Base 85 attack stat is not amazing, but it is pretty okay. And base 80 speed tier is something to think about. And at least Fake Out and Grassy Surge and Grassy Glide is something to think about a lot. So yeah, this thing cost us 6 points, putting us down to 4 for our last 2 Pokemon. And because our Electros got stolen, I decided to go with something else instead. I decided to actually go with Mufasa, the Pyroar. Pyroar costing us 3 points puts us down to 1, which is fine. It was going to be a pretty worthless last pick anyway. This thing gives me a secondary normal type, which is okay. I don't really care. But more importantly, a fire type. This fire type is not great, but it's not that bad either. It's got access to Snarl. It's got access to Dark Pulse and Heat Wave. It's got Flamethrower and Overheat. That's about it. I don't think it has Hyper Voice. It does have Hyper Voice actually, so that's pretty cool. I think though it has Helping Hand. It does. It has Helping Hand, and it's got Taunt and Yawn and Will-O-Wisp. So it's pretty okay as a support Pokemon. It's got a decent speed tier of 106. Unnerve is a helpful support ability. Being able to keep my opponent's berries from working could be very helpful. Entrainment could also be pretty helpful, maybe. Maybe I could give like our Mega Garchomp Moxie. I don't know. Maybe. Probably not, but maybe. That'd be pretty funny. I'm just coming up with funny strats now. I don't think it has really anything else for it. I know its physical moveset is kind of better than its special. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, that's pretty much it for this thing. It's a very bad Pokemon in the low tiers, but it was going to be like that anyway. And then finally, for our last Pokemon, it is little tiny Libe, the Impidimp. Impidimp is a very, very low tier prankster Pokemon, and that was the only reason I picked this thing. It's a secondary dark, third fairy. I don't really care about its typing. Its typing does not matter. But status wise, prankster wise, it's a pretty decent. It's not amazing. It's not anywhere near the level of Morgrim or Grimmsnarl, but it's not bad. It's got fake tears. It's got taunt and trick and thunderwave, and like that's honestly all I really care about. It doesn't have screens, which is unfortunate, but that's not the worst thing in the world. It does also have fake out, so like I could maybe have to, my opponent might have to think about that. And it does have access to foul play, so it could actually hit kind of hard. Because foul play utilizes my opponent's attack stat instead of the user's. Um, yeah, I don't. This thing is not going to do anything like ever, but sometimes maybe I could bring it for a little bit of like brain games. Hey, you have to think about this Pokemon now in the middle of the matchup. So yeah, guys, that is the final pick of our draft. You can see it all right here. The Pokemon I am most excited to use are Magearna, Garchomp, and I gotta say Gigalith. I like those three a lot. Having Sand is really nice. I really do like this team. I think it would have been nicer with Electros, but I do actually see some value in Pyroar. I think there is some cool things I can do with that. So, guys, with that being said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're excited for this Draft League season, which I very much am. So, um, I don't think I have anything else to say. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, do me a favor, go down to that subscribe button, go ahead and sucker punch that, as well as the like button. And while you're down there, go ahead and also hit that notification bell so you never miss another Lemon Ants video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all a good day, and goodbye.